All right, we got our CMD in the last video modded up with the SCSI2SD card device. Showed y'all pretty much how to install it. So now we're going to go through how do you format it and get it set up to work. So you need your copy of the CMD tools, HD tools, and I've got it hooked up to this. This is device 8. I believe the default number for this is like 12 when you're setting it up. So, but anyway, leave this turned off until after we load up the program. So we're going to load up the low-level format program. Now I've got a super CPU hooked up to this thing, so everything's going to go a lot faster than it will if you don't have one, especially this format. Formatting this thing will be really fast with the super CPU. Okay, now what we do that we're on our screen here is going to tell us to hold down the swap 8 and swap 9 button while you hit the reset switch. Okay, so at this point you turn your power on to your CMD drive. Now it's not going to boot up correctly because it's not set up. So what we do is we hit swap 8, swap 9, and then we hit our reset. Okay, the light should go out. The activity light should be out on the CMD drive. Okay, we hit return up here. It's going to look for the drive. As you can see right here, this is the drive right here, 00. It's already got it selected. All we do is come down here, press return to continue. It's going to warn you that you're fixing to erase the SD card that's on there. Do you want to continue? Yes. It's going to say, are you absolutely sure? Yes. Okay, now, like I said, it's going to do it super fast because I have the super CPU. It won't do this fast for you. It usually takes about 2 minutes or so, I believe, if you don't have the super CPU. So anyway, it formatted and then it verified, made sure nothing was wrong. Format successful. Okay, now, once again, turn off your CMD drive. And now we're going to boot up the create sys, the system info for the drive. So I'm going to reset my computer here. We're going to load up create sys. I don't remember if that's how it's, let me see, let me look. I don't remember if that's the name. Oh, it's got a space between it. Okay. Okay, do the same thing again. Now you turn on your CMD drive again. And the reason I do this like this is because sometimes it'll lock up the system if it's already turned on when you're loading up these programs. I don't know why exactly, but it will. So swap 8, swap 9, hit reset. The activity lights are off. Press return. Okay, now it's gonna ask you, do you want to change this starting block? I never change it. I just accept the default. So hit return. It's going to ask you, do you want to clear the data below the system? I always do, so I hit yes. Okay, now if you notice over here, you'll see some activity going on with the light and everything. It's reading information off of the floppy drive and writing it onto the hard drive, the SD card. It doesn't take real long. You look up here, you can see what it's doing. And you're done. It's set up. It's formatted, it's ready to go. So now what we have to do is we're just reset it this time. We don't have to turn it off this time. So we just reset it. We're going to reset the computer also. And now we're going to load up the HD Tools program so that we can partition this and get it completely set up. Okay, now this time you don't hit that swap 8, swap 9. All you have to do is hold down the right protect button and then hit reset. Activity lights flash and then they go out. Press any key and we're ready to go. Now, your first option up here is to change the default device number. You can do that at any time. You know, if you're going to set it up as your main one, you just go in here and see its default is 12. So if you want to change it to 8 or whatever, just hit select yes, and then you hit plus or minus to change it accordingly. But I'm going to leave it at 12 because I don't need to set it up for device 8. And then you would hit return to, see it says hit return to write it, the info to the hard drive. You just select yes, and now you've changed the device number. Okay, now the important part. We want to create a partition because there aren't any. We'll look real quick. We'll view the partition table. And you can see there's none set up. With 4 gigabytes, you can set up 254 16 megabyte partitions. That is enormous. I don't ever use anywhere near that many. Now you can set them up also with the CMD drive to act like it's a 1541 floppy or a 1581 floppy. So if you want to like archive a whole bunch of floppy disks to this thing, you can set up tons of partitions that are the size of a 1541 floppy and put all of your floppy disk on here. So you could do it that way, or 1581s, either way. But most people use them for, you know, mass storage for bulletin boards, things like that. So I'm going to set up a large partition. So what we want to do is hit number 4 to create a partition. Takes just a second to read everything. Partition number 1, just hit return. It's going to ask what type do you want. Now here would be where you select if you want to choose it as a 1581. You can set up as 1571, 1541. Native is what you set it up to be if you want it to be a CMD format. So you hit return. Now this selects the size of the partition. I always just hit -1 time, and that's the max size of the partition. Hit return again. Now you just enter what you want to call it. So I'm just going to call it partition 1 for right now. It's going to ask you, do you want to write it to the hard drive? Yes. And that's done. Your first partition is made. We'll make one more for the demo here. So see, it automatically goes to the next one available, which will be number 2 here. Okay, that's it. It's done. Now if we view the partition table, you'll see them both available. I don't know of any faster way to set up these partitions. I wish there was, to where you could just like enter one name and it just go through and make all of them, because it takes a good bit of time to do them one by one, but I personally don't know of any other way to do it. There might be, you know, maybe somebody can comment on here and let me know if there is another way. That would be cool. So let's just exit all the way out. We're going to hit 6 to return to basic. Hit reset on the hard drive. Now, if you remember, it was set up for 12, so we're going to switch to device number 12. I'm going to hit and check the directory. There we go. Now, to change to partition number 2, when you're using Jiffy DOS, you just enter change partition 2. And now you're on partition 2. So Jiffy DOS in combination with these CMD drives is just awesome. You can do so much stuff. And so I'll show you real quick how you can transfer a whole bunch of stuff over. Usually when I set up one of these CMD hard drives, partition number 1, I always copy over the hard drive tools. That way we don't have to keep going to a floppy all the time if we don't want to. So I'm going to go back to drive 8, and we're going to load up F copy, and that lets you copy from one device to another. So we're going to select device 8, just the main partition because it's set up as a 1581 disk. Going to device 12, which is a CMD hard drive, and partition 1. Now we want to select everything, press F, press return. You'll see your directory, hit T to toggle everything, copy the whole thing, C to copy, and then return to confirm. And you can see the activity light on here is copying everything over. So we'll have a complete copy of the floppy drive over here on the CMD drive, so we can use it. And that's pretty much it. And it's that simple. And it works very well. Like I said, your CMD will never know the difference between that SD card and a real hard drive. So there you go.